When Sharon asked me to talk about does a supermajority really help the state, it kind of put me in a quandary, because my first answer was, well, maybe in some things it does, but in a lot of things it hasn't yet. And we're trying to mold that second part, that hasn't yet part, into actual kinetic energy. And we're getting there. Out of the vast number of Republicans we have now, you have to remember I was elected 11 years ago when there were 43 of us, and we were literally in the dark on everything. And now some of our most conservative people are in the dark. And we're trying to emerge from that. And we have probably 25 to 28 of our 70 members are like us. They belong in this room. We have another 20 or so, 25, that can go either way from time to time based on either the merits of the argument or how convincing we can be. And then we have another 20 or 22 that need to go. And I think this poster up here speaks adequately to the mission. Let me go to a couple of highlights from this session that are going to benefit us so greatly, folks. Balance of Powers Act was a bill that was brought to me by the Tennessee Freedom Coalition, and it's a bill. We had a hard time getting this bill passed because it actually questions federal power. It asks us to look at federal initiatives that are coming to the state of Tennessee and question those, and possibly table them, possibly come up with some arguments for the federal government. The machine doesn't like it. The establishment doesn't like it. We don't want to embarrass our U.S. senators, which could be sitting here also at this point. Long story short, after about 5 or 6 weeks of working the Balance of Powers bill, I realized it wasn't going to pass. And it wasn't for lack of trying. So we decided to skin the mule another way, and that is, let's use an existing infrastructure that we have, which is our committee system, and let's create a new subcommittee that will look at states' rights issues. And we were able to cobble enough support together, both from leadership and from individual members in the House and Senate, and maybe was right in the center of this. That is going to allow us to question what the federal government's doing, not necessarily stop them, just question them. And it made great resistance in the media and great resistance from many of our fellow legislators, unfortunately. And a lot of it is just total lack of education. The number of individuals that have probably never read the Constitution, that have not understood the Supremacy Clause, that do not understand Commerce Clauses, that don't understand the actual history of this country, but they're serving in legislative seats is appalling. So as we put this issue together, Senator and I thought we have to not only come up with a mechanism to check federal power in Tennessee and protect the rights and privileges of our citizens, but we also have to educate as we move forward. We have to educate our citizens, we have to educate our legislators, we have to educate the research analysts and attorneys. All these constitutional attorneys that we have working in the Capitol, they're fine men and women, but they were raised and educated on a constitutional basis, a system that is much different than what our founding fathers put together. They're looking at precedent only. They're looking at federal initiatives only. They're not looking at what the real core of the state's rights should be. So we were able to put this Balance of Powers subcommittee together. And I'm proud to say that we'll have our first organizational meeting on May the 1st. I will chair it. And we'll have our first official meeting in August. And we're going to meet every 3 months, year-round. And we're going to, my only requirement is, someone brings me an issue, I want it to be a specific issue. I don't just want to look at long, drawn-out federal philosophies. I want a specific issue brought to me. We're going to rip it apart, tear it apart. We're going to decide, is it constitutional? Does it violate our state's rights? And if we believe that it does, then we're going to issue a report to both speakers. We're going to issue a report to every member of the General Assembly. We'll use the existing apparatus in the state government to advertise our findings, and we're going to issue a report to all 9 U.S. Congressmen and our 2 U.S. Senators. And in that report, we'll also have the beliefs of the General Assembly on why we think this is a bad idea, how we think it negatively impacts states' rights, or negatively impacts the rights and privileges of citizens of the state of Tennessee. And it is a revolutionary committee. Folks, we're the first in the country to do something like this. Our goal within the next few years to do this exact same thing. And when we get that kind of traction, we're going to see real change in Washington. And it's going to take the individual states standing up as a collective unit to change this. Nothing else is going to change it. Piecemeal sending good people to Washington is not going to fix it. Piecemeal passing resolutions is not going to fix it. It's going to take real action. It's going to take people standing up and materially holding things in their hand to prove to the federal government that this is wrong. Now, the second part of this, which I intend to initiate, and I hope to do it this year, but as many of you know, I was culled out of leadership, and we weren't able to do this. But I want a bilateral session of Congress. Also, will be the first in the Union. Every year, I want our 9 U.S. representatives and our 2 U.S. senators to sit down in public with the 33 senators and 99 representatives for an open session of Congress. So there's no misunderstanding about what we need and want in Tennessee and what we expect them to do to deliver that. No misunderstanding whatsoever. And you know what? If they don't want to participate, we can still redistrict every 2 years. We don't have to do it every 10 years.